Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm E.G. Stone, and today I'm going to be talking a bit about self-publishing. But first things first, a quick update. I have recently connected with a bunch of people who are interested in doing author interviews. So what I'm going to be doing is I'll be having an author interview with them, and that video will go up once a week on Mondays. And so then the schedule will look something like Mondays we'll have the author interviews, Wednesdays will be Wednesday read book reviews, and then Saturdays are going to be the writing video, so everything will stay the same until September, and then the interviews will be bi-weekly because I'll be focusing a lot on Speaker of Words, and so you'll see a lot more of Speaker of Words updates and launch news and giveaways and all of that fun stuff at that point. So for now, the plan is to keep everything the same with just the addition of that Monday weekly author interview video. If something needs to change, I will let you know. So today I'm going to be talking a bit about why I decided to self-publish and why I prefer self-publishing over traditional publishing. And I realized that traditional publishing is very popular for a lot of people and they really want to do it that way. But I think that self-publishing definitely has a lot more benefits and can be just as successful and just as fulfilling as getting a traditionally published contract. In the last 10 years or so, the writing industry has changed a huge amount. You've got the rise of Amazon, you've got the rise of the Barnes & Noble Nook, you've got e-readers that have become hugely popular. You have more people able to access your books, you can put out books more frequently, and it has become hugely inundated within technology as far as social media goes, as far as doing things like YouTube goes, as far as software for writing, as far as creating content and getting content to people is a whole lot easier than it was. And news, if you haven't heard, the hedge fund that owns Waterstones in UK, which is a very popular bookstore, and honestly I like it quite a lot. It's actually really a very nice bookstore. So the hedge fund that owns Waterstones has acquired Barnes & Noble, and Barnes & Noble hasn't been doing well in the last I want to say 6 or so years. I'm not sure on the numbers on that one, but they have not been doing well, and they were probably going to have to close if someone didn't buy them. So the fact that this was bought by the same people who own Waterstones, and now the CEO of Waterstones is going to be the CEO of Barnes & Noble, that's significant, and that changes the distribution apparatus a bit because he's going to be focusing more on local stores doing what the community wants as opposed to a huge franchise. So you could maybe go and convince your Barnes & Noble store to have an indie author section, which I am very tempted to go and do. So that's another change in the industry, and things are changing constantly. It keeps evolving, and in 10 years I very much doubt it's going to look the same as it does now. So that being said, it is far easier to get a book out and to produce content that reaches people and becomes well known than it was 10 years ago. That being said, it is also harder because you have more people doing this and you have more people attempting to get their work out there. However, I still think that self-publishing is a very fascinating and useful industry that can be as successful as the traditional publishing houses. How you get into traditional publishing is you have to have your book. Of course, you've written it, you've had people read it, you've had people see what they think, and then you go and you find usually an agent. And agents can be just as hard to get as actual publishers looking into you, and you need them for the larger publishing houses. So if you're interested in the Big Five or any of their imprints, you usually have to have an agent. And if you're interested in the smaller publishing houses, a lot of them will take manuscripts from people without requiring an agent, but some of them don't. So you have to deal with that, and it can take ages to get into. It's a very difficult market, and the reason this is so difficult is because they have huge numbers of people trying to get their books out there. Because of all this technology and people creating and doing all of this content, the competition for getting a traditionally published contract is enormous. And your book could be the best thing ever, but if no one sees it because they're overwhelmed with an inundation of manuscripts and requests, then you're snookered. There's nothing you can do. Whereas with self-publishing, you can get your book out there. If you market it properly, then you can do just as well. There are some benefits to traditionally publishing your book that you won't necessarily get with self-publishing, and this includes having them provide you an editor and a cover design and appropriating resources for marketing. However, you can get an editor as a self-published author. I have done so, and the price is fairly reasonable. You have to be aware that there is going to be a cost to you as opposed to the publisher, but it's still fairly reasonable, and you can still hire graphic designers to do your covers. Again, that cost is like a hit to you, but it's usually pretty reasonable, and you can find some very good talent out there. And as far as the marketing goes, unless you are a big name author with the traditional publishing houses, you are not going to see a whole lot of marketing help. They're going to be devoting most of their resources to those big authors, and so you're going to have to do your marketing yourself. And if that's the case, why would you bother with traditionally published books? Because you still have to do the work yourself. Okay, yes, they give you an editor and a cover designer and all sorts of things like that, but you still have to market it yourself, and that is 90% of the battle right there. If you can still do just as well with the marketing and distribution that you can with a traditionally published book. You have to do social media anyways, so that's fine. People put out YouTube videos, they put out blogs, they put out all sorts of content, they'll still do giveaways. Even with the traditionally published stuff, you can do the exact same thing and have access to the exact same resources as the people who have a traditionally published contract. And that means that your book has the potential to sell just as much because you can reach just as many people. So why would you necessarily need to do a traditionally published contract if you can do all of the work yourself? And having control of what it is that you are doing. So you have control of your content, you have control of the cover, you have control of what sort of marketing campaigns you do and who you talk with and how you talk with them, and that is all on you, and it's nice having control. For me, I like being able to talk about my characters and sort of hint at spoilers, but not necessarily give any away. I enjoy being able to put together my own giveaways. I'm doing author interviews, I'm doing book reviews, I'm connecting with other people. I have just recently gotten someone who is connecting me with more people so I can be interviewed myself and to get my book out there. I have the exact same resources that someone who is traditionally published would have. The quality is going to be the same. The formatting, if you get someone who does it professionally, the cover, if you get someone who does it professionally, all of the actual production of the book, the hardback, the paperback, the ebook, you can get things that look exactly the same as a traditionally published book. And yet I still have control of everything, and I can put this out on my schedule, I can market it as I choose, and I don't require a contract or an agent. So for me, this is huge because my books, they're good. They're good books. They are well written. I am extremely proud of them, and I have had people compliment them and who think that it's very good. So the quality theoretically is the same, and I have seen traditionally published books that are terrible and that I would never want to read, but the quality supposedly has been approved by these people, and the question is why. So if the quality is about the same and the marketing aspects can be done the same way, then why would I do traditional publishing when I can do self-publishing and do it myself? So I think that traditionally publishing your book is great. It is a wonderful thing to do, and if you can get someone who represents you and that's the way you want to go, absolutely go for it. Just realize that there is not necessarily any difference in quality, in marketing, and in anything, editor, cover design, than there would be with a properly done self-published book. So if you have any thoughts on traditional versus self-publishing, please let me know. Just know that these are not the only options. I just talked with someone who was doing hybrid publishing. I know people who do vanity publishing, and there's all sorts of things in between. So if you have any thoughts on this, do let me know. I'm very curious to see what other people think about this topic because it can be a little bit controversial. And I know that self-published authors get a little bit of flack for being self-published, even though it's sort of about the same with the traditionally published authors. So you may be putting in more work to get your book out there yourself, but it can be just as fulfilling and just as successful. So that's really all I've got for today's video. However, there is some news. I have a giveaway going on my Instagram account, which links are in the description below. There is a post on my profile that says giveaway, and you follow me on Instagram, you like that post, and you comment on that post. That's it. That's all you have to do to enter the giveaway. This giveaway is open until the end of June, and I will be announcing winners on July 1st. So if you're interested, the links are all in the description. Everything should be self-explanatory. And I hope you enjoy. So that's all I've got for you today, and I will see you next time. Bye.